Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, the new no shit gaming news video. That's 3 stories in 1 video and 0 faff. So let's get on with it. And first up, let's talk about why the game Rune 2 might be getting its first patch soon, a whole 2 months after launch. Rune 2 was released on November the 12th last year by publisher Ragnarok Game LLC. The very next day, the developers of the game, Human Head Studio, shut the studio down and instantly reformed as a new studio renamed Roundhouse Studios. In what played out like a scene from the TV show Mad Men, Bethesda announced the news that it opened the new development studio, Roundhouse Studios, under their own banner. This all being very unusual just the day after Rune 2 was released. This left Ragnarok, the publisher of Rune 2, without a development studio to support the game. They were also without the source code of the game, which Human Head Studios had retained possession of. Without the source code, Ragnarok were unable to hire another team to support and patch Rune 2 in the crucial weeks post-launch. Last month, Ragnarok filed a $100 million lawsuit against Human Head and 3 of its co-founders, accusing them of fraud, breach of contract, and unfair business practices. Luckily for the players of the game and Ragnarok, the company received a hard drive last week that included the source files, and they are now in the process of validating the files before they begin work on a patch. This whole scenario seems very cloak and dagger to me. We don't really have all of the backstory or the details, but it will be interesting to see how this lawsuit plays out now with the Human Head Studios co-founders now at Roundhouse Studios, backed by Bethesda and ZeniMax, possibly taking on Ragnarok for $100 million. We'll let you know how that pans out here on the channel. Click subscribe and notified if you want to be informed. And next up today in news that really isn't news, the number of Destiny 2 players on Google Stadia has dropped by half since launch. Apparently, there were over 19,000 players of Destiny 2 on Google Stadia on November the 26th, shortly after launch. That figure today is a little over 8,000. That is a decline of 58.7% as reported by Paul Tassi of Forbes, who wrote the article blowing the lid off this whole situation. How this number is supposed to be significant is actually pretty puzzling. Destiny 2 was Stadia's only free game at launch. It was the only game with which people could experiment with the new service without paying out additional cash. It would be a safe guess that most people who signed up for the Google Stadia service has tried Destiny 2 at some point. It isn't surprising then that player numbers have dropped so significantly over the past 6 weeks as players move on to buy premium games on the service. Destiny 2 has been free to play since October the 1st last year, when Destiny 2 New Light launched on all platforms. And as there are many superior platforms to play the game on rather than Google Stadia, the fact that there are any players at all still playing on Stadia is what is actually surprising. And add that to the fact that the report shows a total of 1.2 million players still playing Destiny 2 right now over all platforms. A decline of just 9,000 players on Google Stadia says nothing at all about the popularity of the game. Why this was even a story at all in the first, I don't know. I just thought I'd throw my 2 pennies worth in to tell you what I thought about this non-story. It's not fake news. It's just a non-story. It's just a bory is what it is. It's a bory. Let's move on. So last up today, a Treyarch developer says that fans' reaction to Black Ops 3 gave him PTSD. Treyarch studio design director David von der Haar was replying to a user on Twitter who said the following: "You better have jetpacks on the next COD," to which he replied, "No!" Another user then replied, "Jetpacks will revive COD," which seems a little tongue-in-cheek to me, but von der Haar replied, "Such short-term memories, you hung me from the highest branch. No, I have PTSD." Now, I don't know whether the next COD will give him PTSD, but we all know one affliction that he will be suffering from: PLLD, post-launch loot box disorder. That's the same dirty disease that all these Activision games seem to be suffering from. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this new no shit gaming news format. If you did, leave a thumbs up, help boost the video. Hit subscribe and the bell if you want to be notified of all future installments. Why not throw a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. I've been Gareth Evans. That's it for today. Bye for now. And next up in And next up today in news that really isn't news, the number of Destiny 2 players. And next up today in news that really isn't news, the number of Destiny 2 players has dipped by half. Oh, fuck.